All right, section 8, angle bisectors. Now, bisect might be a new word for you. To bisect means to cut in half, to cut or split in half. Right, so if we bisect an angle, which is what we're going to be doing here, we're cutting the angle in half, right? So if we had maybe a 90-degree angle, the angle bisector would come out of it like that. And this here would be 45, and this would be 45, right? They'd be equal. There are also segment bisectors, and a segment bisector would take a segment, maybe it's 10 units long, and it would bisect it, it would cut it in half. So there would be a 5 and a 5. So bisectors means to cut in half, and that's really all we need to know for this lesson here. So each figure shows a triangle with one of its angle bisectors. Right? So this blue line here bisects the angle Q. So it cuts it in half. So it says that 2, measure of angle 2, that's this one here, is 3x plus 6. And measure of angle 1 is 4x minus 2. And they're equal because they were bisected, right? They're the new pieces of that big angle that was bisected. So we know that they have to be equal. So we have to say, or we can say, 3x plus 6 is 4x minus 2. And from here, we just solve, right? We have done the new piece of this lesson. We've done the geometry piece of this lesson. All we have to do now is just solve. So I'll put my x's to the right. That way they stay positive. So I'll subtract 3x, and this will be an x minus 2. And on the left, I'll still have a 6. I'll add my 2 over, and this will be 8 equals x. Number 3, I have angle 1 and angle 2, and they're the pieces of the big angle that was bisected, so they have to be equal. So I can say that 2x plus 2 is equal to x plus 11, right? I grabbed the 2x plus 2 of measure of angle 1 and the x plus 11 of measure of angle 2. And now we just solve. I'll subtract my x to the left. This will be a single x. I'll subtract my 2 to the right, and I'll have a 9. So x equals 9. Now, just because, let's check our work here. Let's plug our 9 into each of these. So we're going to have 9 plus 11, which gives me, what is that, 20? This will be 2 times 9 plus 2. This will be 18 plus 2, which is 20. So this here tells us that 20 and 20 are the angle measures. They're equal, so that's good, right? So it looks like we did the problem correctly. We could also say some neat things about this. The big angle, angle U here, that angle would be 40 degrees, right? Each of the small ones is 20 degrees. The big angle is 40 degrees, right? Something else that's kind of neat to think about is the fact that your angle bisector here, let me erase all this, the bisector actually kind of creates 2 new triangles. We have a triangle on the bottom and then the triangle on the top. Just kind of a neat thing to think about. How by bisecting, you're creating new triangles. Kind of neat. The new angles here are created right here at point P. And we can kind of think about, or you could think about what happens at point P. What happens to those new angles? So, but we don't really need to do that for this homework. I'm just going to continue on. Section 4, or number 4 rather. So measure of angle 1, that's this one, is 6x minus 1. And then it tells us it a little bit differently. Measure of angle HFG. So we start off at H, we go down, we hit F, and then we have G. So HFG is the big angle, And then angle 1 is the little. We don't know, it's not listed what angle 2 is, right? We don't know what angle 2 is. but we know that it's the same as angle 1, right? Angle 2 and angle 1 are the new angles, the bisected angles. So I could say 2 times my bisected angle, 6x minus 1, is the big angle, 10x minus 2, or 10x plus 2, rather. Another way of writing this is you could say, well, this is going to be 6x minus 1 plus 6x minus 1, right? Because each of the angles added together is the whole, right? This line here and this line here mean the same thing. Use whichever one you want to. I'll try to alternate between what I use in this lesson. For this one, though, I'm going to use the 2 times piece, the bottom one there. So 2, and I'll distribute my 2. This will be 12x minus 2 is 10x plus 2. I'll subtract my 10x to the left, and I'll have, well, 2x minus 2 is 2. So 2x is 4, and x is 2. Right? And the reason that this problem was special is because it gave us the original angle, right? That HFG, that angle HFG is the big angle, the angle that got bisected. Moving on. We have measure of angle 2. Measure of angle 2, that's going to be this angle. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 1, right? So I could put a swoop here and there. And then it tells me that YWX. So YWX starts down here at Y, and then it hits W, and then it hits X. So it's the whole thing, right? That's the big angle. I know that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent, right? We know that because they were bisected. So I could say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So I could say that the measure of angle 1 is the same thing as angle 2. So this is 5x minus 3, right? I can say that they're equal. So this one is a lot like number 4, and I'm going to write it like how I did in the top spot there. I'm going to write it where they're added together. So the bisected angles, the angles that were cut in half, angle 1 and angle 2, I can say, well, 5x minus 3, this would be angle 1 plus 5x minus 3, this will be angle 2, right, because they're congruent, is equal to the big angle, 7x plus 6. So whenever I solve this, I'm going to start off by combining like terms on the left. So I get 5x and 5x gives me 10x. Negative 3 and negative 3 gives me a negative 6 equals 7x plus 6. I'll subtract my 7x to the left, and I'll get, well, 3x minus 6 is 6. Adding my 6 over gives me 3x is 12, and x is 4. And there we are. Let's look at number 6 here. This tells us that measure of angle 2 is 3x plus 10. Measure of angle 1 is 2 plus 4x. Well, we know that 1 and 2 are congruent, right? Because they are the angles that are bisected. So this one's a little bit easier. I can just set these two things equal to each other. So 2 plus 4x equals 3x plus 10. I'll put my x to the left, I'll subtract my 3, and then I'll just get a plain old x. Now I'll subtract my 2, and I'll get an 8 over here. There we are. Number 7. Find x if measure of angle 2, so that's this one here, is 21x plus 2, and then zxy, so zxy is this big thing there, the whole angle. That's 44x. So I know that measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 2 are congruent. So I could say, well, 2 times measure of angle 2 is equal to measure of angle zxy, right? 2 times the angle that was bisected, or excuse me, 2 times the small piece, right, the bisected piece, is equal to the big piece, the piece that got bisected. So plugging in here, I'm going to have, well, 2 times 21x plus 2 is equal to 44x, right? All I did was I plugged in there. So this will be 42x plus 4 is equal to 44x. I'll subtract my 42x to the right. So this will be 4 equals 2x and x equals 2. All right, moving on to number 8. This one is nice. It gives me measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 2. And I know that they have to be equal because they are the new pieces, right? They're the smaller pieces. So I can say, well, 9x plus 1 equals 8x plus 4. I'll subtract my 8 to the left and I get a plain old x. Subtract my 1 to the right and I get a 3. Last up, number 9. Measure of angle 2 is 6x plus 1. So, and then CAB is 7 plus 11x. CAB is the big angle here, right? So 2 is 6x plus 1. It has to be congruent to angle 1, so this is also 6x plus 1. And then the big thing is 7 plus 11x. So I can add up the two small ones, and they have to be equal to the big one. So 6x plus 1 plus 6x plus 1 is 7 plus 11x. Now, like I said, and like what I've done in a couple problems, we could have written this as 2 times 6x plus 1. However you want to do that. I'm happy with however you want to do it. Combining like terms here, I'll have a 12x plus 2 is equal to 7 plus 11x. I'll put my x's on the left and I get a single x, my 2 to the right, and I get a 5. So x is 5. All right, let's look back up here for just a second. The bisector, to bisect something, means to cut or to split it in half, right? So remember the two pieces that we have now, the bisected pieces, are equal to each other. That's something to know. All right, that's it.